So firstly, on behalf of the museum and all my colleagues here, thank you to our presenting sponsor Nordstrom for supporting the festival again this year. We couldn't do it without them. We also have incredible support and gratitude for KOTV4 and the amazing Troy Gomez who made our trailer, which you will see shortly, so thank you to them as well. Of course, Kona Brewing Company, who keep us very well stocked for our opening ceremony. And Aqua Hospitality, who are a great year-round partner for the theatre, and they support all of our programs and have helped us to host some incredible guests this year, so thank you to Aqua Hospitality too. We also have some incredible community partners who help us get the word out to the community, so we're very grateful to them for their help. Firstly, the Bud Browne Film Archives, the wonderful Bud Browne Film Archives, who we're very, very honoured to call a community partner, and you'll find out a little bit more about them shortly. And then, of course, the Surfrider Foundation, and also Oceanic Time Warner Cable. They all help us to get the word out, and we couldn't be more grateful, so please give us a round of applause for the community. The second giveaway this evening is a beautiful, incredibly beautiful handshake board by one of the festival's founders, Mr. Eric Walden. Anyone who bought a pass to the entire festival, they were entered into the draw because we want to recognize our dedicated attendees.
Helen Neal.
Anna Trent Moore has been an integral part of the festival here. Each year she selects an incredible classic surf film by surf film pioneer Bud Browne, and she lines up an amazing panel of guests, all surf luminaries who you will learn about in a moment. For those of you who don't know Anna, and I think a lot of you do, she is the daughter of big wave surfing pioneer Buzzy Trent. She was born and raised in Makaha, where Bud Browne filmed much of Makaha Point surf. She'll always call Hawaii home, and we love it when she comes to every summer and comes back home. She lives now on the central coast of California, and she writes about her father's and Bud's people, and she also runs the incredible Bud Browne Film Archives, who we have to thank for this evening's film, Locked In. I would like to invite Anna to the stage to introduce Locked In and tell you just a bit about the panelists who will be speaking with after the film. Thank you guys for being here. Please welcome Anna Trent Moore. Also, of course, to Eric Walden, who shaped this incredible board. Eric and Jackie Walden, they were the ones to start up this festival 8 years ago with my amazing predecessor, Gina Caruso. And I think it was a good idea. So please join me in thanking them for having me.
I always find it very fitting how the last 6 years we've been so honored to come and close the film festival that we end it somehow with where it all began, and that is with Bud Browne. Because if you want to talk about the beginning of the surf film genre, you must talk about Bud Browne. I suspect many of you here know who he is, and that's perhaps why you're here. But if you don't, Bud Browne was an extraordinary man who took a leap of faith at the age of 41 and decided to quit the career of a teacher to invent the career of the surf filmmaker. Tonight, you're going to see Locked In, which is actually his last film that he made in what I call the golden period. After Locked In, he took a hiatus and he made his Tahiti film and then re-emerged to make going surfing. So tonight you'll see a very special film, which was his last film that he made from the golden period. I've always felt that Bud Browne gave the best of himself to Hawaii, and that is why I'm always very proud to return him here. He has quite a large collection of film that encompasses the modern time of big wave surfing through the shortboard evolution. And I would honestly say that about 3/4 of that collection is of Hawaii. I'd also like to acknowledge our special panel that will be giving a Q&A at the end of the film, and that is Mr. Peter Cole, Mr. Keyele Hollinger, Mr. Jock Sutherland, and Mr. Mark Cunningham. I'd also like to acknowledge some special guests that are sitting with us in the audience, and I hope during the Q&A they'll also field some question and feel free to share as well. Mr. Randy Rurick. Mr. Billy Barnfield. Miss Jeannie Chesser. Mr. Lee Waidu, who is in the film. And also someone who could not be here this evening, who attended every single film festival, and his presence is deeply missed. But he is represented by his daughter and handsome grandson, Miss Raina Gray and Mr. Titus, grandson of Ricky. So tonight, it is my honor to present another Bud Browne classic, Locked In, at the Honolulu Surf Museum Festival. Enjoy the show. We have a lot of wisdom, a lot of time, a lot of history. And this is a very special night because we're going to be able to share from some of the last men standing here, not all, but a few, and it is a privilege. My first question, I think I'll start with Peter. We can go down the line. Each of you, your years and experience in surfing equals a lifetime. You've surfed all the spots in Hawaii. For my father, Buzzy Trent, he always felt that one spot defined his surfing above all others, and that was Makaha. What surf spot would you say defined your surfing career above all others?
Sunset Beach. Yeah, that's a real beautiful wave because it's real dynamic. It gets the west, it gets the north, it gets every direction. And it's a difficult place to surf, and you can have a good day one day, and then you can go out the other day and have a day like I had trying to get up on the stage. Well, that's the most embarrassing thing I've ever gone through.
Kimo, how about you?
I surfed Big Macaw with your dad in 1958. And the wipeouts were so bad, I went to California.
As Peter and Kimono and Mark too, that you can have a user-friendly day at a very mean place like Pipeline, and you can have a really good time, a really good day. But there's ways that are consistent, like Mauna Kea, and that wave, as far as length of ride and evenness of form, I would say that was one of my most enjoyable waves to ride, Mauna Kea. Yes.
So your answer is?
And Mark?
Hi, Anna. So my answer is Pipeline.
Another question I'm curious about. Ricky Gregg could pinpoint the exact moment in time that lifelong love for surfing began. When did surfing capture you?
Actually, for me, it was probably in Santa Monica, going straight off at Sereno Beach with a paddleboard in 1943, when Buzzy and Matt Keyele and Buzzy Trent and Kid Horn started Corny and I, my twin brother and I, surfing. And then probably really getting into it fairly thick and really enjoying it was in 1944 and 1945 at Malibu.
Life is a miracle, and the second miracle was getting to be a surfer.
Well, my dad was a surfer before me, and he brought us over here when I was about 4 or 5 years old. And I think he pushed me into a couple of small waves, maybe on his old balsa board in a small surf town called Surfside, in between Seal Beach and Huntington, south of Los Angeles. But probably riding his big balsa board at the old Barbers Point Naval Air Station, which is where my mom had a job in special services. So probably that was the time when I was like 8 years old or so that it first became a real important part of my life. Yeah.
And Mark?
I would say in the early 60s, when my mom and dad used to take us to the Elks Club at Waikiki next to the outrigger there. And I used to ride styrofoam surfboards kind of off to the left there inside Tongs and hotels, and check out the macho lifeguard at the pool and be in awe of that. But I was so lucky to grow up here in Hawaii and have the warm water year round, and so the hook was set early on.
Okay, the next question I'm curious about. Buzzy Trent's favorite surfboard above all others he called Excalibur. It was his brewer gun that he felt invincible on. Is there a particular surfboard that was your crown jewel above all others? Peter?
Well, that's probably the one that I had a board that was really good at Waimea and was lousy at Sunset, and then I'd have a board that was real good at Sunset and lousy at Waimea, so difficult to say, but probably the best board I ever had for riding Waimea was a brewer had made me, through Hobie, they gave me the board actually, it was a good deal. The only time I think I ever had a free board, and it was very good for Waimea. It was 20. I like my boards wide. It was 24 inches, and it was one of Brewer's earlier boards. This was in 1965 or 60, right before this, right after this surf film was made. And then for Sunset, probably the best board I ever had was a board shaped by Mike Eaton at Malibu. A real good board that I really enjoyed. And I've had some really good boards through the years, so I'm happy with all of them.
My Uncle John taught me how to surf, and I totaled his board. and I'd work and I'd save my money to get a board, and totaled that one too. That's how it went in my surfing career.
In the late 60s, Brewer shaped me a couple of very good boards that worked well, but because there was no leashes back then, oftentimes we'd have our boards go on the rocks, or we'd break them. Your favorite board would get broken, and it'd be hard to replace. But I have an 810 that's got a swallowtail that my friend Kyle Bernhardt shaped. That to me right now might be my most favorite board because of its ability to not only go fast, get around sections, but to be able to maneuver. So, to my mind, right now, that's my favorite board.
I've had one magic board in my life, and that was shaped by Dave Parmenter many, many years ago. And I sold it to some lifeguards in Hong Kong, one of the biggest mistakes of my life.
Okay, one more question and then I'll open it out to the house. We all build on the shoulders of those before us. And on and on and on it goes. Who did you look up to as a role model that inspired you?
Well, your dad was one that really inspired me, and your dad's close friend, Kit Horn, and Matt Kilden, who were all Santa Monica surfers. That was a threesome of surfers that were really good back in the 40s and 50s, and I really looked up to those guys. And
My Uncle John, Uncle Wally.
Like Peter and like Keyele, you know, there was always a few people before us. And Jeff Hackman got me into the Duke of Honolulu Corporation, so I actually got to meet Duke and talk with him personally and even do a little traveling. And it was very much my honor to have been part of his contest when he was still alive.
I first moved out to the North Shore in '76 and started living in lifeguarding out there. And I was out there a little bit before that, and Butch Van Artsdalen, Mr. Pipeline, was still in the tower. Keyele was one of his best friends. Peter lived down the beach. Fred Van Dyke lived down there. Warren Harlow lived over there. Jeff Johnson was over there. Ray Beatty was up on the hill. And just all these, Jose Angel, and the list just goes on and on. These hardcore guys, Randy Rarick, these guys who moved out to the North Shore before the term pro surfing ever existed, and they did it purely for passion and for the love of, you know, the Pacific Ocean and the energy of the North Shore. So all those guys were big role models to me, and there were many, many beautiful Hawaiian lifeguards who went well before me. And I sat in the tower that Butch Van Artsdalen got to sit in. I met Eddie Aikau a handful of times. The Keyele's on the west side. I got to play with Rel Sun a couple of times. Derek Dorner was in the tower, former world surfing champion Jimmy Blears. I just feel very, very fortunate that Joe Mills, just the list goes on and on. I'm just very, very fortunate to be here, and thank you.
A little interjection on that. As a child growing up with Buzzy Trent for a father, I always knew my father was a little different. He was like an action hero to me, and that's no joke. He looked like Superman. I just knew that he didn't look like my other friends' fathers. And my father, we lived in Makaha, where it's very hot. So very often he didn't wear a shirt. He just had either his pants or shorts on. And there's this funny little story, I guess I'll share. My father always drove a little Volkswagen. And we were driving down the street in Ma'ua, and there were a couple of rough-looking guys that hollered at him as the Volkswagen drove by. And my father slammed on the brakes and pops open the door and gets out of his car. And he stands tall, and he had no shirt on. And I just remember the look in the faces of these two guys who saw my father come out of this tiny little Volkswagen. They just were apologizing over and over again. And anyway, and I never went on a date until I was almost 18. Because one time, a young man did come to my house, and my father came out. He had no shirt on. Of course, he looked like Superman, and his words were, "What do you want?" And the young man said, "I just want to talk to Anna." And my father just said, "She doesn't talk to boys." And so that was that, and I always thought, well, boys must not like me because no one had the guts to finally ask me out until 2 weeks before I was 18 years old. True story. Anyway, I want to thank once again amazing Abbie Algar, her assistant Taylor, the Honolulu Museum of Art, the Honolulu Surf Film Festival. You are all so lucky to have this every single year. I'm just thrilled to always be among the walls of this place. There are many, many happy memories I have since childhood at the Honolulu Museum of Art, formerly the Academy of Arts. This is a blessed place, my most favorite museum in the world, being with the most amazing people at this festival. I can scarcely believe it. Every year I get to do this. And thank you all for being here. And thank you, all 4 of you up here, and all of you that are sitting there. Mahalo.